Today on the grid, it's Landscape Q&A Day with our special guest, landscape photographer Ramton Kazemi. Join me and Kuna, the Rocket Man Canahan. He's from Kyrgyzstan, and we've got some lovely giveaways today, and it all starts in just 30 seconds.
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to another live episode of The Grid. This is like year 8, right?
It's been going for a while.
It's year 8 of The Grid. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Erik Kuna, the Rocket Man.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, Mr. K.
Hey.
And we also have a very special guest hanging by, Skyping in from Chile,
from
Canada.
interwebs.
It's almost as cold in Canada as it was in Texas last week.
Yeah, I think they're on par.
Yep. And so anyway, we're glad to have Rammy Kazemi with us today. He's an awesome, incredible landscape photographer. There he is in the frozen north.
He's in a frozen cave there.
Hey,
everyone.
Coming to us live from the ice cave. It's Rammy. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Rammy's work, he's an incredible photographer. Won one of our gallery competitions and has wound up doing Kelby 1 classes on shooting and on post-production. He speaks at the Photoshop World Conference, and he's a great guy, and he's really into Johnny Cash, which is pretty cool. You don't run into someone every day. It's kind of a unique thing. Johnny Cash is like a legend, and it's being kept alive by Rammy.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Maybe they got my computer. They can see his work.
Okay, yeah, maybe we can see some of Rammy's stuff here.
Get some contacts for it. But if you go to RammyK.com, he's got a nice, cool website over at RammyK.
And it's RAMMY,
lot shorter than his
right?
last website.
Yeah.
I took advice from somebody and shortened his website down.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. You got shots like this,
Oh, jeez. These are beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
And, something that's really cool is
look at
got
that
a new
one.
class on Kelby 1.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He's the man. Anyway, we're glad to have him here. So what we want to do is we are taking live Q&A today about landscape photography. I always tell people, even if you're not a landscape photographer, we all wind up doing landscape photography. Like even if you're like on vacation or something, you're not always shooting downtown.
Well, yeah, and that tends to be the thing is like, when you're on vacation, you'll do a lot of, that's why travel and landscape tend to be the categories that when people are on vacation, they kind of do, it's just natural for us, right, as photographers. So, and we love to be in beautiful places. Like we love beautiful places. And as photographers, you're just going to be in front of a beautiful landscape, and you'll need to know how to capture it. And that's why landscape photography is so awesome.
Oh yeah. Hey, I want to tell you a quick story, and I want to get Rampton's thought on this. It'll be interesting to see what he thinks. But hey, my color cast is green. Why am I green? Like my mic is green, my face is green. I'm not on a green screen, but it's green. So if you're in our control studio and your name is Jason and you have color controls for my camera.
Yeah, take the tint.
Yeah, man.
Push it +5.
Yeah, I'm green. Everything's green over here. It's mean green. Okay, sorry, I just happened to notice that on the confidence monitor here. Okay, so George Lepp, you guys have heard of George Lepp, an amazing landscape photographer and stuff. And George came to one of my seminars just a few years ago in I think it was in Denver. And I remember him saying something about landscape photography, and he was telling me, he says, Scott, I've been shooting this stuff for many years, and he is a phenomenal. He writes for Outdoor Photographer magazine, so he's a legend. He ran his own institute, the Lepp Institute, for many years, and he said, after all these years, I've come to the realization that sunset is much better, just overall for photography than dawn. Mm-hmm. He says, I know that we all get up at dawn. And he says, and he started listing all these reasons why, and then I added my reasons why. Now I actually, in my seminar, in my crash course, I actually teach why. I give the whole breakdown of why. So tip of the hat to George Lepp. But But I am definitely. Oh, okay. So we think it's the monitor is green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which could definitely be the case. I'm sure the monitor you're looking at is not color balanced.
Yeah, it's not. But I noticed that Erik does not look green.
Well, maybe I really am green and you're not.
Maybe that's it. It could be. Okay, but Rampton, what are your thoughts when it comes to shooting?
Yeah, this is a good one.
Now, Rammy, I know when I went shooting with Rammy, we got up very, very early.
Well, I think there's pluses and minuses to both of these, but
the
I see
pluses
where you're
are
going. Where there's definitely overall pluses to Sunset.
Yeah,
let's hear what Rammy has.
All right,
to
yeah,
say.
I want to hear what Rammy says. What did he say? What say you, Rammy?
Well, when it comes to sunrise and sunset, I've had more luck personally on sunrises. But, when we were doing the workshop, Scott, we had so little time and we wanted to take advantage. So that's why we have to get up early and we don't want to miss any sunset or any sunrise, correct? So that's what we want to do. However, I really believe that the sunrise, there's something about the sunrise as, it's just a moment where everything is sleeping, whether it be the animals or even the trees and everything around you, it's sort of like sleeping. It's just like waking up, and there's like a certain sense of calm that's just everywhere. So, and it really depends on what way you're shooting. So I can't really say, you have to shoot either sunrise or sunset, but I've had personally more luck when it comes to sunrises. But it just depends on the scene, really, at the end of the day. So,
no, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's the direction of the light. I mean, there's all that stuff. I mean, but I think the big advantage to sunset is not having to wake up super early.
No, there's another advantage.
Then it's the whole thing of like you're going into the good light. Meaning you have time to work with it as it goes. And
it's longer. It's much longer.
Well, it's perceptually longer, yes.
Well, yeah, but you get blue hour, you get all these other things. Like, once the sun comes up at dawn, your shoot's kind of over. Yeah. I mean, you get a few minutes, and then you're like, let's go to breakfast. The benefit of dawn is two things. Breakfast, right? Breakfast.
Yeah.
And
unless you're in England.
You can get still water. Like, your chances of getting still water are great in the mornings. Is that you're not going to get still water at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. But the downside of shooting sunset is there is no breakfast, and there's probably no dinner. You miss dinner, so you're eating at Waffle House is basically where you wind up. So that is the downside. Is that, hey, I just noticed that Rammy is also green, so I'm going to go with this monitor is overly green.
There you go.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
All right, it's not just me. All right,
yes.
It's green.
No, but there's definitely like you said, there's the advantages and disadvantages to both. But I think the key being, and I think that's where Rammy was going, is it's just both of those times are the best times. Those are the best times, and that's when that's where understanding the direction of the light, how the light's going to cast on your scene, what you're going after, you might decide that there's certain locations that like Rammy, there's certain locations you go shoot that you're like, that's a sunrise shoot, right? That's a sunset shoot. So, you just know from your experience that, hey, I'm not going to get the right light at sunset. I'm going to get the right light at sunrise.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a matter of, finding what you're after. And sometimes, the reason that I do both is just because, if I go and shoot the sunset, I'll also shoot the exact location at sunrise if I have the time. Why not? Because that gives me one extra chance, if things don't work out at sunset. So, at the end of the day, yes, you are right when it comes down to the direction of light and everything. But both those times, I don't know why, though. It's just a personal thing. I just have had most of my luck at sunrises. Now, it could just be a coincidence. I don't know why, but it just has been the case so
one
far.
reason is you're young. When you get older, all of a sudden you're going to be like, I don't know about this sunrise stuff. I think I'm going to sleep in and have some coffee and I'm going to go to the hotel buffet, and then later maybe I'll shoot sunset, or maybe I'll just go back to sleep. It's part of being old. But hey, we got some questions coming in, Rammy. So we're going to throw.
And that's a big thing today. If you guys have any questions,
it's Q&A day.
Drop them in the comments. We'll be glad to answer anything. Rammy's here to answer anything you want to do. Want to know about landscape photography.
Belinda's got a good question. I'd like to hear this one. Yeah, I'd like to hear the answer for this one.
So Belinda's asking you, Rammy, what is your go-to lens for landscape photography? So if you had a go-to lens.
Personally, I shoot with most of the time with an ultra-wide angle lens. So for me, it's the Nikon 14 to 24 2.8 because that allows me, that gives me that extra amount of light, that I need for aurora, northern lights, and at night and all that stuff. But you want something, you definitely, as a landscape photographer, you definitely want that ultra wide lens. So we're talking about, if you're on a full frame, you want at least a 14 millimeter lens to have. And let's not forget the fact that you also have to have 100 to 400, I would say, because depending on where you are, especially if you're surrounded by mountains, and if you're not where you can, capture an entire scene, landscape photography becomes a really interesting thing when you start using like that 100 millimeter to 400. You can just zoom right in, and you can get so many different compositions, right? So I would say second, if you have the money to invest, get 100 to 400 for sure. But mainly, if you want to tell a story, from near to far, a wide, ultra wide lens absolutely is a must.
I'm totally with you, dude. I either take my 14 or a 16 to 35, but if I take a 16 to 35, I'm at 16 almost the whole time. I'm not at a 24 or 35 generally. I like that.
And I'm the same way. I'm 15 to 30. I've got my 15 to 30 Tamron.
I was going to say that's a Tamron, right? Yeah. That's a nice lens. You let me borrow it.
I love it.
It's very nice. But all right, so we got a couple more questions.
So Arlene's asking, and before we get to the questions, the other thing we got to let you know is we got a contest going on today. So we have a bunch of things we're giving away. To enter the contest, all you got to do is leave a comment. So that's the thing, is just ask us, ask questions, anything you got about landscape photography. We got tons of prizes that we have to give away. We've got a platypod gooseneck. We've got a book from Kaylee Greer. We got her dog photography
I have
book.
Her dog photography book right here.
That we're beginning.
It's called Dogtography right here. Got it right here. Oh, this is a phenomenal book, by the way. She's phenomenal.
Awesome. It's awesome just if you love dogs, just to see the pictures.
Yeah, just the pictures are very...
But it's a great book. And then speaking of books, Scott has a new iPhone book out, and we're going to be giving away an ebook version of that. Scott's iPhone photography book.
Oh, I have that here.
Yep. So we got that iPhone photography book, which is great if you're getting into iPhone photography, wanting to maximize that.
Wait, or if you know somebody.
Or if you know somebody, that's a big thing.
Yeah, I always think about, like, for our audience, for people that watch The Grid and stuff, I always think this is a book that you buy for your friend that's into photography, but their camera is their phone.
Yeah, because what you end up doing, and this is just the life cycle of iPhone photographers that I've seen, is they'll get really good at their iPhone, and then they'll go buy a mirrorless, or they'll go buy something else, because they realize, I could do a lot with my iPhone, but then it's kind of like Rammy was talking about when you start getting into telephoto, or you start getting into ultrawide or night or aurora and all these other things that, if you start pushing it. But anyways, great book. The other thing we're giving away is a copy of Boris Fx Optics. So this is a awesome plugin for Photoshop. It does all those visual effects things that you really you can only do with kind of like phone apps, I would say, up until now. But this is really where you can kind of layer them, stack them. It's so deep. I love this program. But so yeah, check that out. And then SlickPick Portfolio. We're giving away a portfolio level account over at SlickPick, and SlickPick's a portfolio website. You can go get your portfolios just for photographers. And if you want to get 25% off, it's over at slickpick.com/Kelby1. Anybody watching the show can get that. But just leave us a comment, ask a question. That's what we're here for. So any questions you have. So speaking of, we got one other question for Rammy here, and then we'll take a break.
Well, actually, let's take it after the break.
Okay, we'll take it after the break. So if you want your questions answered, just ask us at the break, and then when we come back, we're going to be asking Rammy a bunch of questions.
Also, don't forget, all you have to do is leave us any kind of comment, and you're entered in the giveaway. It's not a contest, because a contest implies you have to do something.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just tell us what you want to win. So you could just say the iPhone book, the dog book, the platypod, whatever you wanted to. Just tell us what you want to win, and that way when we don't wind up sending you the dog book when you don't have a dog or don't like dogs, or which just means you're a bad person, but it's okay. Anyway, I just want to let you know what you're going to see next. So last week we talked a little bit about, we launched this wildlife conference, which is coming up next month, the Wildlife Photography Conference. And today we have a little video. I thought we had it last week, but we have it this week. And it is going to give you a better insight into what the whole thing is about. So take a look here as we check out the Landscape official trailer. Landscape Photography Conference official trailer. That's what I meant to say.
Ask any wildlife photographer, and they'll tell you there's a pretty unique thrill that happens when you capture a beautiful wildlife image. You're right there in that split second where your subject, your camera, and your creative vision all come together to create something special. Great wildlife images help us connect to nature, and a great one can tug at your heartstrings, bring a tear to your eye, or help foster a personal connection with the species. A great wildlife photo stays with you, whether it's that image of a soaring bird in flight or a tiger stalking its prey. Being able to capture that moment, that natural behavior, their curiosity or their strength, it's a rare chance to study these amazing animals up close and personal. It's what's drawn so many photographers to this wonderful genre. Creating these truly unique images isn't just luck and a long lens. It's technique, it's planning, knowing the right locations, the right settings, the post-processing secrets, and having it all come together at the precise moment. It's part art, part craft, and a whole lot of fun. This March, a team of some of the world's most gifted wildlife photographers is coming together with one goal in mind: to help you capture the greatest wildlife images of your life. They're here to help you understand the whole process from start to finish, and how to capture the type of wildlife images you've always dreamed of. Images that make folks look at your images and just say, wow. You'll learn how to photograph their range of emotions and pro tips for capturing a rare glimpse into their world. The timing, the composition, the gear, the settings. You're going to learn it all from the best in the business. It's 2 full days online, and it's open to everyone who longs to create truly exceptional images of nature, its unique inhabitants, and their surroundings. This is the Wildlife Photography Conference, coming March 16th through 17th, 2021, with a special pre-conference session the day before on what makes a great wildlife photo. The breathtaking beauty and diversity of the natural world await. Come and join us on this remarkable journey.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
Hey, we are back. Scott Kelby here, and we've got Rammy on the line all the way from an ice cave in an undisclosed location. In his secret lair, in the Great White North. Erik Kuna is here as well, and we're taking your questions. It's live Q&A, landscape photography live Q&A day, and let's hit some questions, Mr. K.
If you ask us about wedding photography, you're probably not going to get an answer today.
Yeah, it's not wedding photography Q&A day.
But Arlene is asking actually because she's a wedding photographer, but she doesn't usually shoot landscapes, and she's asking Rammy, what are the best settings for sunset photos with the actual sun in sight. I had a hard time with it when I was in Puerto Vallarta. So I would imagine this is like, you've got the photo, you've got the image, but then there's the sun ball, the ball of sunlight is coming into your camera.
Setting over the ocean in Puerto Vallarta.
It's like setting over the ocean. What would you do? Maybe sunset on the coast. I've seen your shots near the coast there.
Yeah, so that's a question that's going to be a little bit longer to answer, but I'll try my best to do it. But so, there's no answer. There's no specific settings that I can tell you, or a magic formula that I can tell you and say, listen, you're going to put your camera into this, and so because it's going to differ from scene to scene, and how strong the sun is, and how how much dynamic range your camera can capture, and all that stuff. There's a lot of things that come into play. However, typically, if I have the sun into the shot, I usually tend to go for a bracketing option. So I will not just take one shot. I will take a few different shots, underexposed, overexposed. That way I can just put them all together later in Photoshop or Lightroom. Now, there's a trick that you can do when you're blending photos like that. If you have the sun, sometimes it just creates way too much flare and everything all over the frame. So what I do is, after I'm done with those 3 or 6 shots of my bracketing, I'll put my finger right in front of the camera or the lens, and I'll just cover the sun, and then that way I can just blend that in with the areas that are without flare.
Hey, that's a pretty good trick there.
Yeah.
Use his finger like a flag.
I like that.
Like a flag, yeah.
Like a little, you put it in there, cover the little dot of the sun.
Yeah, exactly. So that way, it's because it's on a tripod and you're taking the shots one after another, it's a very easy blend. You can just raise your hand after that in Photoshop very easily. Now, here's, when it comes to settings, again, I tend to shoot fully manually because, it all depends, again, like if I'm on, let's just say F11 or F9, and I have the entire scene in focus and everything's happening, then it's just a matter of bracketing. Now, let's just say you didn't want to do that. Let's just say that you didn't want to go to that extent and do bracketing. What would the best settings would be then? So at that point, what I would do is I would make sure that I would put my camera into maybe shutter speed priority, and I would make sure that the exposure I'm taking is going to basically not expose that sun so much that there's so much blown out highlights. If you wanted to take one exposure, I would rather I would much rather have dark shadows than too much blown out highlights. So that's another tip that I can give on that.
Same here. I can tell you a trick that I use for shooting the sun when the sun is in the images. I try to meter away from the sun a few inches. So you have a frame this big, sun's in the right corner. Mm-hmm. I literally go to a cloud a couple over and I meter off of that. Because you can't really meter off the sun. The sun's going to if you meter off the sun, it's going to make the image super, super dark. Yep. So I go a few inches away from the sun, meter on something that's over there, and that'll usually do it. But I'll tell you what, Rammy's tip of bracketing,
well, and
really the finger, the finger,
using the finger as a flag,
right. And so
that's what the problem with the sun. It's going to create that, like he's talking about, the lens flare,
and the lens flare makes your image look less contrasty and stuff. You lose kind of washed out. But what he's doing is bringing all that back out, and it's very easy to erase just a finger sticking in there over the sun. Like, whoops, I'm gonna, because you have the original layer behind you, then you have this nice new layer with a finger in it. Well, when you erase the finger, what's left is the original image behind it. So it's an easy fix. It's just erasing it. That's very
some
clever.
People do that, in camera or something like a very graduated ND. That but like given Photoshop and having Photoshop, what Rammy's talking about, he's basically just remember Photoshop. You're just recreating what you would do with some kind of flag or ND.
All right, very good.
There you go.
All right, we got some more questions.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. So Stephen Goetz asking, what would you say is the best angle for the sun when shooting huge rock formations?
Best angle for the sun. when shooting huge rock formations. I'm not sure if I understand the.
Maybe let's interpret this. So like meaning if you got rock formations or something, and I guess the sun is casting shadows and stuff like that. So this would be before the sun goes below the horizon, because a lot of times I know you're shooting and my shooting and even Scott, like a lot of times the sun will be below the horizon or at least below the mountains, because we want that softer light and we want that, you know, more detail and stuff. But say the sun was up, it was casting in an angle, because I think your first answer would be I'd actually have the sun below the horizon.
Yeah. So if I was gonna have the angle of the sun and if I was gonna have certain areas of the rocks in the foreground lit by the sun, I would basically have. Sorry about my dog over there. He's just barking at something. I don't know what he's mad about. I don't know what he's mad about, but he's mad about something. Anyways, so I would have the sun at a very low angle, so that basically it would cast really long shadows in the foreground. So that's what I would really want. Now, personally, what I do is I wait for the sun to go down so that there are no harsh shadows, because then what I can do is I can do dodging and burning later in Photoshop, and I can really accentuate that shadows and the highlights and all that stuff. So I really prefer my foreground not to be lit directly by the sun. I will just use whatever light there is in the you know, the bouncing light from the sky and all that, and I would just basically dodge and burn from there. But if I had no choice and if I had to shoot it, if the sun was actually directly into the foreground, I would really want those longer shadows, so lowest possible for sure.
Now, and I can say, and I think you can test, I've shot with Rammy. I know Rammy prescribes to a very specific formula. He doesn't know this yet, but his shooting style happens from the sun being at negative 20 degrees to the sun being at negative 6 degrees, or positive 6 degrees. If it's beyond positive 6 degrees, he's like, why aren't we going back to the car? Let's get back to the car. There's nothing left.
Breakfast or dinner
it's
time.
Breakfast time.
Bacon time.
And I know that about Rammy. He's like, because that's what we'd be out and people be still trying to shoot, and the sun's above 6 degrees, and Rammy's like, it's done. We're done. We're over.
All right.
We're out.
All right. So, hey, we've got a lot of questions coming in. We're going to have to answer them more quickly. Hey, I do want to answer Barry Morris's, because I can answer Barry Morris's question. So Barry's question is there a way to determine if the sunset is going to be spectacular or blah an hour before it goes down, or is it just luck? Barry, I can help you. If your sunset is going to be spectacular, it will be because you had amazing clouds. If an hour before sunset you don't see a cloudy thing and your weather app doesn't show a bunch of clouds moving in, it's going to be a blah sunset. And I want to give you a quote. Now, the quote that I'm going to give you is from a very famous French landscape photographer. His name is Leonardo Misson. And his quote is this, and this will give you an idea. He says, "The sky is the key to the landscape." It's going to be spectacular if there's spectacular clouds. If there's not, or it's just kind of gray cover of clouds, it's going to be blah. So that's it. An hour before, look at your weather app. First look up in the sky. If you got a good cloud covering, head to the spot. And if you look up and it's a bald sky and you don't see any clouds moving in on radar, sleep in, buddy. All right, it's time to take a break.
It's either that or force yourself to use sky replacements at that point.
Or use sky replacements. All right. Hey, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we got lots of questions, so don't go away.
Yeah.
My name is Rammy Kazemi, and I have a brand new and a very exciting, refreshing class for you this time that focuses on color. This is a very specific class on how to use the different simple tools that come with Photoshop to make the colors pop. But not only that, we're also going to be focusing on how to create separation, because understanding color harmony is very important. And when you understand color harmony, then you can really start to create separation in your photographs and give it that depth that a two-dimensional file is missing. Now, I don't want you to think that this is only for landscapes, because when you talk about color harmony, you could use these techniques on anything really. It could be portrait, it could be any style. We're going to be talking about different real-life photo examples, and we're going to go through them, and we're going to take these photographs to the next level I want you to come and join me on my latest class exclusively at kelby1.com.
Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. My name is Sir Germany. I'm a French photographer living in Los Angeles, California, and I'm a fine art artist. I love Sneak Peek because you can host all your photos online. You can share the best one through albums with incredible privacy settings. For example, you can just share an album to like 3 people or for just a number of hours. They have amazing watermarking on the fly where you can just change your mind and watermark and redo the watermark or take it out and it's instant on all your photos. Having an official portfolio is so vital today. Now they have an amazing launching deal where for just taking the basic subscription we're offering now, which is roughly $15 a month, you're gonna get a professional designer to do your website for you. All you have to do is fill in a form with a few data and you're good to go. A designer will design your website for you. So if you don't like web design, this is a great opportunity. I think we're better off taking photos and learning how to do HTML and CSS and getting the most perfect website ever. I mean, even if you were to go the route of WordPress, which I did for many years, having a WordPress is free, but you need to host the WordPress. And a good hosting service is between $10 to $20 a month. So all you have to do is click the link below and get the offer. You will get this special price, which is 50% off for the first year, but you're gonna get it for life. So get it now. I love my Sneak Peek website. I love the business that it drives me, and I want the same success for you. Get it now.
For over 20 years, leading software developer Boris Fx has made its mark on the film and television industry. Now, for the first time, our Academy and Emmy Award-winning visual effects tools are available for photographers. Welcome to Optics. Optics is a collection of 160 filters for Photoshop and Lightroom. Simply apply the effect and launch the interface. Optics features thousands of customizable and creative presets for photo editing and effects layering. The top tools include lens flares for cinematic looks, realistic night skies with star fields and moon generator, add lightning with on-screen interactive control. The Easy Mask tool creates masks with just a few clicks. Optics is available now as a plugin for Photoshop and Lightroom and includes the standalone application for macOS and Windows. Get Optics now for 15% off. Visit borisfx.com, add Optics to your cart, and apply coupon code KELBY15.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
Hey, we are back. Scott Kelby here, and Rammy's with us, coming from the ice caves of Canada. And there he is.
Got a bunch of questions.
All right, let's hit them. We're going to rapid fire them because we don't have that much time. So
Rayan's asking, how do you know when it's the best to bracket versus using filters? So bracketing versus using filters. What do you say to that, Rammy?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I personally do not use filters a lot at all because, you know, there are different reasons why you would use a bracketing. So why you would use bracketing is when the dynamic range is way too much. That's when you would use bracketing to make sure that you get the entire dynamic range. So why you'd use filter would be depending on what filter you're using. If you're using a solid ND filter, it would be because maybe you wanted to get a longer exposure. If you're using a graduated filter, it's because you want to get certain part of your image darker. So it's just two different things completely, right?
Yeah,
so,
they're two different topics.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like when would you have an apple and when would you have grapes. You're asking when would you have an apple and when would you have a steak. It's just these are two different things.
Now, looking at your images, Rammy, and I think because this is the thing, like because people like get consumed with, I need a polarizing filter, I need an ND filter, I need 7 ND filters, all that stuff. How many times do you use a filter on your images that are in like your portfolio?
I can tell you it's probably maybe one out of all the images you see that I've used the filter on, because
What
I
filter?
just the 10-stop filter, because I just carry it with me just in case I wanted to. You know, sometimes you get somewhere and you're like, you know what, there's nothing that's happening. I know the sunset's not going to be good, so let's just go for a long exposure, you know, and it's not dark enough. So you want to be able to have that freedom. But to be honest with you, the technology today with Photoshop and with all the filters that we have, literally filters are just so old. You don't really need them anymore. So
and you know what? It's so for a long time we always espoused use a filter, don't do it in Photoshop. But like, for example, one of the most popular filters, and for landscape photographers, would be a graduated neutral density filter. The reason why it's so popular is because we stand in front of a scene, and while our eyes adjust for the sky and adjust for the foreground and the rocks and the stream and everything, your camera sensor can't capture what our eyes can. Our eyes can capture this giant range, and our sensor can capture this. So what we've had to do traditionally in landscape photography is to make a choice. I'm either going to make the foreground look good, and then the sky is going to be blown out, or I'm going to make the sky look great, and my foreground is going to be super dark. So the go-to for all these years has been we make the foreground look good. And then we use a filter over the sky, the graduated neutral density. It darkens the sky, and then it gradually goes to transparent at the horizon line, right?
Yes.
Now, here's where you get in trouble with the here's where Lightroom and Photoshop are actually better than the real thing. When you put that filter on your camera, if there's a mountain in front of you and you want the sky behind it darkened, it's also going to darken the mountain.
Exactly.
That's not what you want. You want the sky behind the mountain. There's no way to do that. But in Lightroom, it has a graduated tool, and you can mask out the mountain, and it works better than the real thing. So I don't even, I don't even carry a graduated filter at all. No. Period. I don't even take one with me because I know that what I can do in Lightroom is actually better.
And I think I own one. I think you own one. I mean, we own them.
We got them
years ago. They're just sitting there because we're never using it.
I do like an ND, neutral density filter, because if water's moving or the sky's moving, it can be a very nice effect. It's not, and if you're going to shoot a waterfall, you need one or something like that. But
solid ND. Yes.
All right, let's move on to another question. Did you want to say something, Rammy? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say one thing on this topic was that just remember that nowadays the cameras, it really doesn't matter what brand you use. The dynamic range is so great on all the cameras, Nikon, Canon, Sony, that you almost 95% of the time you can get away with one shot. You don't even have to bracket anymore. As long as the sun is not in your frame, as long as your highlights are not blown out, you can bring those shadows up in post, so you're good to go.
Well, unless you have a Nikon D850, that sensor's crap. I think it's a joke. No. Just kidding. Rammy is the cheerleader, the official cheerleader for the Nikon D850 sensor.
He has a Nikon D850 tattoo.
Yeah, so it's
I don't.
Yes, you do. All right.
So Josh Hill's asking a question. What kind of maintenance? And this is a good question from Rammy because I see your tripods in water and everywhere in snow. Is what kind of maintenance do you do to your gear? Say a tripod and head after shooting in wet conditions, like putting them in a stream or on a wet beach. You're in frozen snow. You take your stuff out.
Rampton's never near a beach.
Yes.
Yeah. So in that, usually every time I'm in water, I always open the legs of the tripod all the way. I'll just let it dry out first of all. And if I've been on the ocean side where there's salt, and if there's too much of it, I'll just actually open the entire thing, bring it out, wash it out, make sure the salt's out of it. But most of the time, letting it dry out, it does a lot, because usually what you do is you open it up and you put it in water, and then what happens is that the water gets literally into the legs. So by opening it and just opening the legs completely and fully extended and leaving it out and letting it dry, that already helps a lot. So,
yeah. Hey, Moose Peterson taught me a trick years ago for dealing in wet conditions. I went to a workshop with Moose, and it rained the entire workshop. It was in Vermont. Dude, it was just a week of rain. And what Moose taught me was to take a nice, almost like a bath cloth. Not a towel, but, like a small hand cloth. And he's like, do not dry your camera. Just pat it.
Oh, yeah.
Just pat. He goes, because if you move it like this, you're going to push water into something.
Yeah.
And he said, so just pat it. And then what Rammy said, just let it dry. Just leave it out to dry. Don't pack it in your bag. Leave it out to dry. Extend the legs. That was great advice. Hey,
now, I have a tip for people on beaches, because we're around beaches a lot. You say, Rammy doesn't shoot beaches, but I shoot beaches a lot, or shoot on beaches a lot. And one of the things when you're shooting on beaches, you're getting sand in your gears or in the bottom of your tripod, and sand just loves to get everywhere, right? Well, all you got to do, actually, this is a great one, is when you go to the front of stores, they have those umbrella bags that you put your umbrella. just grab 3 of those umbrella bags when you go on a shoot and put those umbrella bags around your 3 legs and put a rubber band.
Oh.
You never have a problem with it. And that's what I do.
That's a great tip.
That's what I do.
Now, you realize that's stealing, right?
Oh, no, they don't care.
Oh, they don't
Actually,
care. It's
you
stealing
can buy
that's
them.
approved.
You can buy them on Amazon.
There you
and that's
go.
what I did.
There you go.
Them, and
Sure you did.
No, you could buy like a gross for like $5.
All right, yeah,
Super
144 of them. That's good. Okay. Hey, I'd like to answer this question from Gail D. And,
Okay.
and then I'd like to hear Rammy's take. I'm going to give you my take.
All right,
and
so
then I'm going to.
Gail's asking this question. So, Scott, take this one first. Does every landscape photographer need a foreground element? I take a lot of mountains and cloud photos and wonder if more of them should have something in the foreground but feel like it's too busy.
Okay, so Gail, here's what I would tell you. Having a foreground element adds depth to your photo. That's what you do it for. It's not a rule, it's not a law, but it does, and by depth what I mean is, so what you're experiencing a lot in your photography, and I think why you're questioning this, is your images look flat. It's just a mountain. It's just a sky. There's nothing to lead me into it. There's not really a story, and there's no layers. It's just all one layer, mountain. The reason we add a foreground is it draws you and leads the viewer's eye. When there's something in the foreground for us to attach to, it naturally leads us to the middle ground and then to the mountain in the background and then the clouds behind that, and it creates a picture with depth. So I think the reason why you're asking this question is you're probably looking at your images and go, mine don't have depth. Can we pull up one of Rammy's, any one of Rammy's photos? And I want to give you an example. We were just, my computer's not connected to the control room where Eric's is. And just pull up a photo and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, this is a classic example. Look how much depth this shot has, because you've got that water and the frozen stuff right in the front. And then look how cleverly he used that leading lines to lead you right into the mountain, and then it leads you to the sky, and everything is working together to create an image with
we could
depth.
just go that. I mean,
Look, here's another. I mean,
right into it.
And man, it's his photos have so much depth, and I think that's what this brings to the party. And there's another one. Like, he composes these things so perfectly. Even this one right here. Again, it's like
there's the beach.
There's not only there's the beach, but also there's the leading lines and everything, and the layers.
Everything.
Look at all the layers. You have the foreground element. Then you have the ocean. That's another layer. You have the mountains. That's another layer. You have the sky. That's another layer. You have all these layers are creating depth, and that's, So anyway, I want to throw it over to Rammy to talk about this same topic. But Rammy's portfolio is a master class on how to compose for depth.
The composition for depth, yes.
Thanks, guys. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going to keep this very simple, but I think, Scott, you basically said everything that I wanted to say. But I also wanted to add one thing is that, yes, absolutely, you have to include foreground because, like Scott said, it just adds to the entire composition and scene. Now, unless you're shooting something like a telephoto, then you're talking about layers. Then your entire thing changes, your entire story changes. So if you're talking about telephoto landscape shots, it's a different story. But any other wide, ultra wide, you absolutely want to include your foreground, and that just definitely makes your shot a lot better.
But keep shooting those cloud shots though, because you want a nice library of clouds to choose for cloud sky
here's a
replacement.
photo when Rammy's talking about the layers. You can see right here. This is one where he's shooting a telephoto, and you have a bunch of layers of mountains.
Yeah, but he's still got a foreground element.
Yes.
Look at the very bottom of the screen.
Yes, it is, but that's far away. That's what he's talking about with those layers.
Yeah. Man, Rammy's thing is a master class in how to compose for depth.
Yep.
Hey, Steve Bauer has got a comment here that was following up on our he's got a tip here, actually.
Yeah. So you want to read it?
No, I want you to read it.
Okay, I'll read it. Steve is saying, I keep a paintbrush in the side pocket of my camera bag to sweep off any sand on for the beach shoots. I also keep them in my car for the same reason.
That's a good tip.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you definitely want to get sand and water and all that dirt off your gear before it goes back.
Oh, hey, ask Rammy this one. Erik and I are not qualified to answer this question being Floridians. This is a Rammy question from Cindy.
Cindy Meyer's asking, have you discovered really good cold weather gloves that work for photography? So yes, me and Scott cannot help with this one. So what do you got?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, what I do is I go to the outdoor stores, so Cabela's or anything like that, and I go to the hunting section, and they usually have a lot of good gear. Now you might not find a glove with a slot that you can take your finger out, but you could just cut one in it if you wanted to. But usually I find my gloves there, and there's lots of options, because I highly recommend people do not go to the photography stores, because they would just slap on photography glove on the actual
Double
thing,
the
and then they would
price.
exactly triple, quadruple the price. So I would highly recommend you go to your outdoor, like something like Cabela's, and they have a lot of options there. So.
Very good.
And that's what Rammy was talking about. Like, there are certain photography gloves where you can just kind of pull off the fingers, like pull them back. But yeah, to your point, I mean, you're definitely going to pay way more for those just because they say photography glove on them.
Yep. Hey, just want to mention, we're going to take a short pause. We got one more break, and then we're going to wrap things up. We got some more questions we're going to get to, but do want to mention I'm speaking at the Depth of Field conference. So B&H Photo sponsors this conference every year, and it's a portrait photography conference. And what did I want to tell you about it? It's coming up in 10 days. And I'm one of the speakers, and you can go to B&H Photo. If you go to their homepage and just wait for a second, it will scroll up on the main thing at the top. There it is right there, Depth of Field. And it is a wedding and portrait and event photography conference, and I'm one of the speakers. There's a bunch of great speakers and keynote and the whole 9 yards. They usually do this conference in person, but this year they're doing it virtually. So you can go and RSVP for it and come and watch it. It'll be a lot of fun. That's coming up March 7th and 8th. So it is 10 days, 19 hours, 10 minutes, and 45 seconds. More Rammy when we come back. We're getting some more of your questions. We're giving away some stuff. Don't go away.
Have you ever struggled to take beautiful images of your children? With squirming infants, busy toddlers, and uncooperative children, it's no easy task. I've been a professional child photographer focused on my craft for over 10 years, and I've discovered that as technology changes, so too has the ability to photograph fleeting moments, and it's now easier than ever. You'd be surprised to learn that all these photos you are seeing were not taken with fancy equipment, expensive lenses, or lights. They were all captured with an iPhone. Hi, I'm Tracy Sweeney, newborn child and family photographer, and I invite you to join me in this class, where I'll teach you the secrets of how to take amazing photographs with the camera that is always with you. You'll learn how to take better portraits, choose lenses, capture children in motion, and edit images that you'll want to share with the world. Come check out my class to learn the tricks of the trade and capture memories to last a lifetime.
Would you believe us if we told you that you could fit studio lighting in your pocket? Well, Lytra has made it possible. Lytra is a global award-winning brand that designs and manufactures professional-grade camera lights that are compact, rugged, and waterproof. Whether you're using Lytra gear in a photo studio or underwater, Lytra's mission is to provide content creators with flexible and unlimited lighting tools that can mount on any camera, anywhere. Their lights come with a high CRI or color rendering index, making them some of the most color accurate lights in the industry. Due to the light's compact and rugged design, photographers are able to use the lights in ways that their studio lighting never could. Lytra has also made multiple lighting accessories available to fit your every need as a creator. Whether you're shooting portraits, nailing a product shot, or even flying your drone, they have got you covered. Lytra enables photographers and filmmakers to focus on their craft and create something beautiful. What will you create?
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
Make sure you don't miss any episodes of The Grid by subscribing to Apple's podcast app or iTunes. It's free, and we even have a special audio-only version too. So sign up today.
Hey, we're back, and we've got some more questions. We're going to grab a couple of questions. We got some giveaways. We got Rammy on the line, and hey, I'm going to throw this to. I'm going to answer it real quick, and then I want to hear Rammy's thing. John Unter is asking a question here.
Yeah, when would you use a long lens when shooting a landscape photo?
I would say you want to use a long lens when you want a different look. Wide angles, whether it's a 16 or a 14, whatever, give you a look. When you want to change that look and you want a different view, or you want to be able to shoot instead of the mountain, you want just the mountaintops with the clouds and different stuff like that. There's a lot of, it gives you a different look. It has different compression. So I would use a long lens when I want to change the look of the scene, when I want to compress the distance between things. So when I want things to look closer or instead of being further away, because a wide angle lens pushes things away. Whatever mountain's there, it moves it back further. Where a long lens compresses the distance between, it can make some really, really great shots. Plus you can get parts of mountains and parts of things that you would not get any other way. But I want to throw that same question. So Rammy, when would you use a long lens when shooting a landscape photo?
Yeah, Scott, you're right. Exactly. There's that, and also another situation would be, let's just say, like for example, like last workshop we had in the Rockies, we finished and we were in the parking lot. We were just about to get our gear out of the car and go for dinner, and it was just some light out, and we looked over to the mountains around us, and there was some really cool light happening with the clouds going over the peak, and there's some last minute light hitting the top of the peak, but we were in a parking lot. There was nothing around us. There was no foreground whatsoever. So that's when I just told everyone, grab your long lenses, let's just shoot this before it's gone. So there's another situation where you would use a long lens when there's no foreground, simply.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a really good answer.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of workshops, that's one of the things that you do a lot of, right? Obviously, right now it's been hard to do a lot of workshops, but you have, I think on your site, you've got some workshops coming up next year, right?
Yes, I have Switzerland coming up in June, which I think is going to be canceled again, for obvious reasons. But so far,
I see the Canadian Rockies is January 2022.
Yes, exactly. So the Rockies again is 2022, and that's one of them is already full. The other one I have only 2 rooms left, and then there's the Yukon. I'm hoping that it's going to happen, but it's not looking very hopeful now, because this is going. If I have to cancel everything this year, this is literally going to be my second year that I'm not running. But hey, it is what it is. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, there you go. So we got another question. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to answer this, but I'll throw it out there. What's the main technical advice for landscape photography with a 35mm film camera? Anybody got anything for that?
Sorry, just ask that question again.
What is the main technical advice for landscape photography with a 35mm film camera?
Oh, 35mm film camera. Just don't do it.
Sorry.
No. I mean, listen. If that's something that you want to do, first of all, it's really hard to get your hands on film and all that stuff. And that's something that you would like to do for sure. Go ahead and do it. But it's a completely different world that I'm not so familiar with to begin with. So I don't think I'm even qualified to answer
exactly.
that.
I'm not either. I mean, I wouldn't have any advice other than maybe buy a digital camera.
Yeah.
Sorry,
we're not much help with that. All right, so let's give away some stuff.
We got prizes, so we got to give away prizes here. So we got some winners. So Rosemary Kern is winning a copy of your iPhone photography book, ebook. So, and then we've got Ira Hudson is winning the SlickPick portfolio level account. We got Nick Pulos is winning the dog photography book. He said wolf. So there you go. And then Leah Chambers is from Wichita, Kansas, and she is going to win the Platypod gooseneck. So there you go. And all you got to do to claim your prize is just go to email us at gridprize@kelby1.com. We'll verify your information and then send those prizes out to you.
There you go. Hey, I just want to give a shout out. If you get a chance, this is Wednesday, right? So Wednesday, February 24th. You probably already know that, but I know that some of you are watching this on a different day, in the archives and stuff. So if you get a chance, go to my blog over at scottkelby.com. Every Wednesday, I invite a guest blogger to take over the blog for the day. And we've got a wonderful one today. And I know I'm going to pronounce her name wrong, but her images are great and her story's great. Here, just roll. There she is right there. Siji Bousset, I'm thinking. Cidg, Siji Bousset, which is number one, a really cool name. But she's got a really cool story, and if you get a moment, the images are great, and she's got a really wonderful story. Take a moment, stop over there. I think you'll super dig it, and it's just lots of great stuff there.
Cool.
So go check that out if you can. It's over on my blog at scottkelby.com every Wednesday. Yay. Also, on my blog on Monday, I write another blog, lightroomkillertips.com, and over there on Monday, I did a piece on, it's a very, very simple move. It's a very simple portrait lighting fix. And so it's right there. If you get a chance, stop by and check it out. It's very, very simple. We post content there 4 days a week. So 4 days, and one day we're just lame. Thursday, we're just like, yeah, whatever. That's not true. Every once in a while, I'll post something on Thursday, but not so much. Like Thursday is the day we just go, nah. Hey, maybe somebody out there will say, hey, I'll take your Thursday day. I'll take that Thursday day, and, maybe that's you, so I don't know.
So, and Rammy's got a new class over at kelby1.com. What's your class on? It's on color tones, right?
Yes, correct. It's on color, so we use a lot of different color tools and just to how to transform your images from shifting time, whether it be just fixing color to add more depth and all that stuff. So I just decided to focus on color on that class. A lot of people have been asking, so it's
which,
good.
That's another thing. If you look at Rammy's portfolio as you go through and you look at how he uses color. And that's another one. Not only that depth and dimension with the composition, but color is another thing. So I'm looking forward to watching that class.
Oh yeah, Rammy's post classes are great. I remember sitting in a hotel room up in the snowy, frozen tundra of Calgary, and outside Calgary, we're actually in Banff. And him doing a session for us, just the people in his workshop. And even during that little session, I picked up some stuff. I'm like, oh, I like this guy. He's got the good stuff. Anyway.
Well, Rammy, do you have anything else coming up? Anything else on the radar?
Yes. I mean, not right away, but there's definitely other stuff in the works. I don't want to give away too much about it.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's not going to be my last class. There's going to be more coming for sure.
All right, I got a question. Is it cold in that cave where you're at?
It's very cold. I'm just freezing right now. You have no idea.
I noticed you've got a scarf on, and the white headphones really work with the whole frozen.
Yeah. Thing. Well, yeah, it's my ears are just falling off, so I got to wear the headphones, right?
There you go. Well, thanks to everybody. Thank you very much, Rammy, for taking the time to join with us. We sure appreciate you. It's always nice hearing your voice and seeing your face. You're a great guy, and you do a lot of great stuff for the community, and we're very, very grateful for it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Kuna, it's nice seeing your face.
Yeah, you too. Nice seeing you.
It's not as nice as Rammy's face. Rammy's face is really nice. Look at that face. Look at that face. That's a nice face. But but your face is still
you guys.
Plenty nice.
Thank you for everything. It's always a pleasure with everyone at Kelby One. I just have a fantastic time, whether it be working in the studio or now working from home. It's always a pleasure with you guys. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. We're honored to have you as one of our instructors. You always do a great job, and we really appreciate it. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to our crew here. Thanks to Christina and Ron and Jason and Magic Juan and the whole crew that come in because we're all working at home, because of the pandemic. But now they come in on Wednesday, and we all stay the hell away from each other. Not for the pandemic. It's just we don't like each other. It's just like, I just want to stay away from these people. I never liked them, especially Juan. He's not a good guy.
He's just going to keep on pulling that jib up until you stop talking.
Okay, I'm going to stop talking. We'll see you everybody next week. Take care.
Ask any wildlife photographer, and they'll tell you there's a pretty unique thrill that happens when you capture a beautiful wildlife image. You're right there in that split second where your subject, your camera, and your creative vision all come together to create something special. Great wildlife images help us connect to nature, and a great one can tug at your heartstrings, bring a tear to your eye, or help foster a personal connection with the species. A great wildlife photo stays with you, whether it's that image of a soaring bird in flight or a tiger stalking its prey. Being able to capture that moment, that natural behavior, their curiosity or their strength, it's a rare chance to study these amazing animals up close and personal. It's what's drawn so many photographers to this wonderful genre. Creating these truly unique images isn't just luck and a long lens. It's technique, it's planning, knowing the right locations, the right settings, the post-processing secrets, and having it all come together at the precise moment. It's part art, part craft, and a whole lot of fun. This March, a team of some of the world's most gifted wildlife photographers is coming together with one goal in mind: to help you capture the greatest wildlife images of your life. They're here to help you understand the whole process from start to finish, and how to capture the type of wildlife images you've always dreamed of. Images that make folks look at your images and just say, wow. You'll learn how to photograph their range of emotions and pro tips for capturing a rare glimpse into their world. The timing, the composition, the gear, the settings. You're going to learn it all from the best in the business. It's 2 full days online, and it's open to everyone who longs to create truly exceptional images of nature, its unique inhabitants, and their surroundings. This is the Wildlife Photography Conference, coming March 16th through 17th, 2021, with a special pre-conference session the day before on what makes a great wildlife photo. The breathtaking beauty and diversity of the natural world await. Come and join us on this remarkable journey